Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel. Press the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel. Share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. So we're looking at the classification of public policies. Classification of public policies. Now, government at all levels are involved in a large number and complexity of public policies. These policies are classified by political scientists and others according to various categories of policies. Although these categories are convenient, for designating various sets of policies and organizing discussions about them, they are not helpful in developing generalizations because they do not reflect the basic characteristics and content of policies. Now, policies may be classified as substantive or procedural. Okay, so now substantive policies, the first classification is substantive policies. Now, substantive policies involve what government is what government is doing or is going to do, such as constructing highways, paying welfare benefits, acquiring or prohibiting retail of certain products, and all of that. Now, substantive policies directly allocate advantages and disadvantages, benefits and costs, to people. That is substantive policies. Okay. Now, let us look at procedural policies as another category, of public policy. Procedural policies, are policies that pertain to how something is going to be done or who is going to take action. Okay. Now, to define it very properly, procedural policies include laws providing for the creation of administrative agencies, determining the matters over which they have jurisdiction, specifying the processes and techniques that they can use in carrying out their programs, and providing for presidential, judicial and other controls over their operations. Now, however, procedural policies may have important substantive consequences. That is, how something is done or who takes the action may help determine what is actually done. So frequently efforts are made to use procedural issues to delay or prevent adoption of substantive decisions and policies. Okay, so for example, an agency's action may be changed on the ground that improper procedures were followed. Okay, so those are the two categories of public policies. Now let us look at types. We're going to be looking at types of public policy, and the first type of public policy we're looking at is redistributive policy. But before we go into redistributive policy, let us look at distributive policy. What is distributive policy? Now, distributive policy are policy issues that are concerned with distribution of new resources. Okay, distributive policies involve allocation of services or benefits to a particular segment of population, individuals, groups, corporations and communities. Some distributive policies may provide benefits to one or a few beneficiaries. Now, the policies involve using public funds to assist particular groups, communities or industries. Those who seek benefits usually do not compete directly with one another. So that is actually distributive policy. It is done to distribute, you understand, resources across, board, particularly those who are actually at the lower rung of the society. Now let us look at redistributive now. That is number 2. Redistributive policy issues are those which are concerned with changing the distribution of existing resources. Redistributive policies involve deliberate efforts by the government to shift the allocation of wealth, income, property, or rights among broad classes or groups of the population, such as the haves and the have-nots, proletariat and the bourgeoisie. Now, redistributive policies are often very difficult to enact because they involve the reallocation of money, rights, or power. Now, those who possess money or power rarely yield them willingly, regardless of how strenuously some may discuss upon the burdens and heavy responsibilities attending their possessions. Example of redistributive policy is gradual income tax, or graduated income tax, or tax the wealthy to allocate resources to the poor. So that is actually redistributive policy. Then the next one is regulatory policy. Now, regulatory policy issues are those which are concerned with regulation and control of activities. Now, regulatory policies impose restrictions or limitations on the behavior of individuals and groups. Now, that is why they reduce the freedom or discretion to act of those regulated, whether utility companies or agencies. When we think of regulatory policies, we usually focus on business regulatory policies, such as those pertaining to control of population or regulation of transportation industries. Among others, these sort of policies were the focus of the movement of deregulation. Now, the most extensive variety of regulatory policy, however, is that which deals with the criminal behavior among persons and property. So examples of regulatory policies are consumer protection policies such as NAFDAC, SON, NDLA, and all of that. All of that are regulatory policies. Now, let us look at the next one, which is constituent policy. Now, constituent policy issues are those which are concerned with setting up of or reorganization of institutions. Now, each of these policy issues forms a different power arena. However, it may be mentioned here that politics is actually a function of policies, and it has to be it has been criticized as oversimplistic and methodologically suspect and testability. You understand? So the next type of policy is called material or symbolic policy. What is material or symbolic policy? Now, public policies may also be described as either material or symbolic, depending upon the kind of benefits they allocate. Now, material policies actually either provide tangible resources or substantive power to their beneficiaries, or impose real advantages on those who are adversely affected. Now, legislation requiring employers to pay a prescribed minimum wage, appropriating money for a public housing program, or providing income support payments to farmers is material in content and effect. Now, symbolic policy, on the other hand, have little real material impact on people. They do not deliver what they appear to deliver. They allocate no tangible advantages and disadvantages. Rather, they appear to people's cherished values. Okay, cherished values such as peace, patriotism, and social justice. Now, the material symbolic typology is especially useful to keep in mind when analyzing effects of policy, because it affects or directs attention beyond formal policy statements. It also alerts us to the important role of symbols and political behavior. Thank you very much.